Greetings to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Shexa's YouTube channel. Welcome to Engineer Sheksa Martin's YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about physical environments and physical computing and Internet of Things. And these days we are changing or migrating from the term Internet of Things to Internet of Everything. um, Internet of Everything. Some other guys or some other scientists and engineers, they have their other terms that they wish are the best to describe Internet of Things or Internet of Everything. So if you like the content and the stuff that I upload on this channel, please give my video and the content thumbs up, give a comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe. All right, let's get into the business of the day. um, before we start to talk about the physical environments, I decided to show you how each and every computing device performs. I will just give you this in brief so that you get a full understanding on how the computing devices uh, collect the data that needs to be computed and then distribute it or uh, display it as output or keep it as storage. Right, so let's move to this. So this is how computers really work, and these are the main components of a computer. But in this context, we are taking this as a computing device. So a central processing unit is the main device that is used for processing or for computing. That's why I chose to give you this animation or this display or this illustration. So what we have here is we have input that is being taken into the central processing unit. And input normally comes from, it's generally known for to come from keyboard, the microphone, the mouse, and the stuff. But we are going to delve deeper in talking about the senses that computers can understand. The senses, the data, the inputs that a computer can understand. So in this case, we are saying input is coming from whatever that is giving a computer input, and then the input is taken into the central processing unit, which is the dark blue area. And then in there we have the primary memory, the arithmetic logic unity, and the control unit. And the control unit is the one that is deciding on what happens at what time. So the control unit is the one that decides to say, let's accept more input, put it into RAM, perform some arithmetic or logic computations. Then it decides again on, do we need to give this as output or do we need to just keep this in our secondary storage? So that's how the computing devices work. They take input, they process it, they output or store or do both. So that's how a computing device really work. So now at the moment, we now want to focus on the environments that gives us input into the computers or into the computing devices. So let's get into that. So we are now taking the computing device to the far right so that the input is coming from the physical environment. So the physical environments, we have many physical environments that we can analyze, that can provide input to any computing device. So in other words, the computing devices that we are talking about here, they range from mobile phones, calculators, um, embedded systems, control systems, and many other systems that accept input, process it, output, or store. So the physical environments that provides these devices with data, they include land or soil. You can get some data about the land, you can get the data about the soil, the earth itself. For instance, let's say you want to um, do a project about a tomato farming project. So you need to understand the soil type, you need to understand the soil texture, you need to understand a number of parameters about the soil. So soil itself or the land itself, it is acting as a physical environment. And why do we really need to analyze or do some computing about this physical environment? Maybe you want to do some production about tomatoes, as I said earlier. Maybe you want to do cattle ranching. So we need to understand the type of soil that we have so that we can produce um, the food for the cattle, or we need to know the type of plants that grow in that type of soil, if they are okay for the livestock that we are about to keep. So that's one of the physical environments. We have wind or air or gas. We need to analyze a number of things here: wind speed, air quality, LP gas leakage. We have a lot of parameters that we need to analyze when it comes to wind, air, or gas. So that's another environment, physical environment that we may talk about. So you have to think about, what can I use to analyze this kind of environment? Is it A, inside a data center? Is it A, inside a laboratory? Or is it A, inside any other room that we may think of? Or any enclosed room? Or is it an open room? Is it a greenhouse? What is it that you want to analyze about the wind, about the air, about the gas? So is it gas leakage at home, gas leakage at an industry, or at an industrial organization or institution? So all these are the parameters that you need to analyze when dealing with this physical environment. And then we may talk about assets. You may need to analyze a number of things based on the assets. We'll talk more about this. Livestock, you may need to count the number of cattle you have, the number of chickens you have, the number of people around, the number of employees you have at an organization. All these computations are done analyzing this physical environment. We have water or liquid. You may need, let me just think of an organization. Let me think of Delta. Delta is producing millions of liters of liquor. So all these products, they need to be packaged in bottles or in containers. So how do they package such millions of products? They have super, they have scud, they have castle lager, they have a lot. Yeah, they have a lot in their production pipeline. So I was thinking of Delta, and now they may actually strategize to come up with a system that automatically fills the bottles, package them, close them, put them in a crate, move them from production area to the market or supermarket, or anywhere where they are actually selling the product. So that's one environment that you may think of. Is we are dealing with liquor here. Are we saying the container is full now? When it's full, what happens? We need to analyze an environment. Is it full? Then there we can actually make use of weight sensor. Is it full now? Or maybe we can make use of ultrasonic sensor that can detect or uh, tell us the distance between the full point and the point at which we have the quantity in a container. And then from there we have another physical environment, which is weather. Here we are analyzing the cloud, the sun, the rain, and any other parameters that we may think of. Infrastructure, here we're talking about the bridges, the buildings, all these things, physical environments, they need to be analyzed by engineers who are doing physical computing. And the physical computing device that we've talked about in the previous slide is the one that is getting input from these in physical environments to do some computations. So that's these are the physical environments that I've highlighted for you here for you. Now, uh, once now we know that we have these physical environments. I've just highlighted these because these are the most common ones, but the most common ones are land, air, and liquid. These are the three main physical environments. And then we can actually derive some other physical environments from these, or we can mix these to come up with other physical environments like infrastructure. Infrastructure is a combination of some solids that we may take from soil. We can take some uh, from from land, and we can mix some water and some other items. So all these physical environments, they they exist, and you can find more from the internet, from your work environment, from home, or from any other environment that you think is suitable for physical computing. So the physical computing, we do it to solve some problems. For instance, let's say we want to analyze the amount of carbon monoxide in a car. We are trying to minimize uh, the danger of taking carbon monoxide, which is poisonous. People in that room, in that car, may actually suffer because eh, carbon monoxide is odorless, uh, and when you take it in, you don't feel like you are taking any poisonous gas. You just feel like everything is okay, everything is normal. But when we have the sensors that are telling you that the amount of carbon monoxide in this environment is too much for you to stay alive for the next 5 minutes, please leave this environment. Therefore, we have solved a problem, we have saved a life. So that's why we do physical environment analysis for physical computing. Right. Now let's talk about each physical environment and the parameters that we can actually uh, look at and take as input into our uh, computing device. For instance, let's talk about land or soil. We won't talk about all, but we'll talk about some. We can talk about soil type. Is this soil type suitable for potatoes? Is this soil type suitable for maize farming? Is this soil suitable for this kind of farming? For instance, we can talk about maize, onions, cabbages, other vegetables, and stuff. The type of soil, is it suitable for whatever that I want? So what you may then do is you have your sensor that can be wireless or that can be wired. You take the value from the sensor and you input it into the computing device. So the computing device now tells you to say, if this value is of this type, then if the value is above this level or is below this level, then what happens is it means the soil type is clay, the soil type is sandy, or the soil type is any other type of soil we have. And you can make decisions based on that. We also talk about soil quality. Is it is it meeting the quality that I need to perform some activities? Is the texture okay? Do you have enough nutrients in this soil? So maybe if you find out that the soil does not have enough or sufficient nutrients for a certain plant, you may need to add some nutrients and then test again using the sensors. So all these values, they get into a computing device through the input devices, which we are now naming as the sensors. And we will talk about the sensors or the input devices later in one of the lectures that are coming. Another physical environment that we may talk about is infrastructure. So with infrastructure, we may need to count how many infrastructures we have at a certain area. How long does this infrastructure last? Is it durable? Is it robust? Is it reliable? Does it resist to external forces? So all these are the parameters that you may actually think of when we talk about infrastructure as a physical environment. So you may actually measure to say, oh, the value of this infrastructure is 500 million US dollars. Therefore, you need some sensors, or you need to do some analysis for you to do some computations about the physical environment that we are talking at the moment, which is infrastructure, building the bridge. It's no longer safe for people to pass through this bridge. They will die. We no longer need vehicles of this weight to pass through this bridge. It's dangerous. So that's one part of that's how we can actually do physical computing when dealing with infrastructure as a physical environment. And we also have liquid or water. I think we've talked about this. And here we can talk about the oxygen content. Let's just assume that you are having some fish in in a certain pond. So what you need to understand is, do we have enough oxygen for these living organisms to survive? You have fish in a fish pond, you have to analyze the oxygen content because they need oxygen for them to survive. Water quality. Is this water good for people to take as drinking water? Is this water good to use for certain purposes, like uh, is it good for irrigation? It might be contaminated in such a way that it may have chemicals, so you need to calculate the amount of chemicals in the water that you want to work with. You know that if you want to have some, if you are dealing with this as a fish pond, if you have a lot of chemicals, therefore your fish won't survive. What is the temperature of the water? Maybe you're cooking, maybe you have you are deciding to come up with a cooking robot. So the robot needs to understand the amount, the temperature level, because it affects the recipe, it affects the quality of the product that you're about to produce. And then we can talk about wind, air, or gas. This one's the easiest one. We may need to understand the wind speed. Maybe it's going to be a natural hazards. We need to understand whether the wind speed is okay for an airplane to travel from Zimbabwe to South Africa, or from South Africa to United States of America, or to any other place. Is it safe? So for us to do to travel safely, we have to analyze this environment first. We are producing cement, or we are producing some products. For example, let me just say we are producing some, let me talk about power stations. We need to analyze the amount of gas that we are giving out and the quality of gas that we are giving out. Is it safe for human beings? Is it safe for living organisms? Is it safe for the environment? That's EMA if we are talking of Zimbabwe, environmental management agent. And then at home you can say, I want to check if there is gas leakage, LP gas, the gas that we use on our domestic um, gas stoves. Is it safe? Isn't there any gas leakage? All these are the parameters that you may actually measure the oxygen content in air quality. How much do you have as carbon monoxide, as carbon dioxide in air, in ambient air? Wind direction, ambient air temperature, pollution level. All these parameters, they need to be analyzed uh, in this physical environment. LP gas leakage, I've talked about this. And then we can talk about livestock or animals. You can count the number of animals you have. You can count the number of employees you have. You may actually need to track where are these animals, the location of your employees, the location of your dog or your cat, the location of your kids when they are going to school. Healthy status. What is the body temperature of my kid? Using some wearables. What is the body temp? What is the pulse rate? All these things you can analyze them on human beings, on animals. What class is this animal? What is the behavior of this animal? All these parameters can be input into a computing device and we do physical computing. And then whether you can predict, is it going to be sunny tomorrow? Is it going to be cloudy? How much rain are we going to get tomorrow? And what temperature are we going to uh, experience in 3 days from now? So all these things, maybe let me just reference Star FM. They normally tell us the temperatures minimum and maximum per town. To say Harare is going to experience a minimum of 15 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 90 degrees Celsius, which is very rare, but that's, a, that's just an example. And then lightning, are we going to experience some lightning? Are we going to experience some sunny or some cloudy environment? Are we going to have some mist or clear sky and environment? And then we can talk of assets. What is the value of this asset? How many do we have? Where is this asset? Who owns this asset? What's the status of this asset? So that's it about the physical environments. Thank you very much for being with me. Enjoy the rest of your day. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. This is Engineer Sheikh Martin signing out. Goodbye.